Welcome back to the Tavern Between Dimensions, the monthly tabletop RPG podcast. And we are going to talk about some really cool stuff coming up. So hang around, it's awesome. So, Carl and Dan, I am extremely jealous of a certain aspect of your lives. And that is that other than work, maybe a bit of family, you haven't really got the same kind of responsibilities that myself and Tom have.
Is running a YouTube channel that hard?
Well, there is that as well, but there's these tiny little versions of me and that run around our houses, or walk, or stumble, or fall, and some refer to them as sproglings, as well as other names, and Tom and I both have to very much bang our heads against the wall with the fact that we have little versions of ourselves existing in this world. And it sometimes prevents us or restricts us from going into these other worlds that we want to play in. So I wonder, how are you not just spending all your lives playing D&D? Because I would if I could.
I mean, I've found that selective ignorance of whether I have children or not is
I mean, don't you have all those secret kids hidden around the world somewhere, Dan?
Yeah. But don't tell anyone. It's a secret. No, it's a good question, I suppose, right? Like you, the two of you, I guess, have significantly less time on your plates for hobby and RPG, just hobby activity, I guess, right? So I'm kind of I'm not a parent, so I've got no real context to this, but I'm always kind of borderline fascinated and awestruck by how parents manage to make time, because it's being a parent is a full-time job. I don't think anyone's going to refute that. So the fact that the two of you are not only able to run a YouTube channel, but also get time for D&D or board games, or hell, even just games of Ninth Age, and they only take realistically 3-4 hours of our evenings at a time.
Yeah, I mean, this would be good for me as well. I mean, I don't have kids, but I am married, and some point in the future, that may happen. So this may actually be good for me as well, because at some point my life may change, and if it does, how do I keep having fun? How do I keep doing fun things? Tell me, senpai.
Yeah, we're gonna throw this to you. We're gonna offer you the microphone. Yeah, tell us your wondrous ways.
Go on, Lucky Sixes. You
I guess I'm quite a good example, actually, because I have many. So I play football, snooker, we do Ninth Age, we do D&D, board games when we can. I didn't really want to give up anything when I had kids, and I know a lot of people sort of tend to sort of step away from things and then come back once the kids are at older age and stuff. But I didn't want to wait 15 years to get everything back. I guess from my point of view, it's I've become more organised. Organisation is key, man. But I mean, with the YouTube channel and stuff, there's a lot of editing and things like that. So it's trying to get it in anytime you can. With gaming and things, it's just being able to, I don't know, it's relationship advice, I guess. Just being able to compromise with everyone so that everyone's getting their own thing and everything. And but I think it's important to keep doing what you like doing, because you don't want to resent anything and because of kids and everything. And it's important to have your own time. So I think making time when you can. And it's very hard for the first few years, especially because they're all little and dependent and stuff. But after that, I guess it's really, from your point of view, signaling out what you find important and what you enjoy doing and trying to do it. What can help later on in life is getting them actively involved. So I know that Jessica, my oldest, 6 years old, has got some models, for example. So she's built up her. She's also terribly sexist and will only have female models, which is interesting in itself. But so building that up, and obviously they're quite interested in what I do, and seeing all these models on the shelves, and me telling them not to play with them is quite a hard thing. But they get time in the garage to do stuff with us, and we paint together, and she chooses the color scheme and all that jazz. And yeah, they enjoy that, and it's a bit of a treat for them as well. So getting them involved in where you can in your hobbies, it always helps as well.
I suppose it's like thinking about it. I suppose there are so many opportunities. I think a lot of people always joke when like a pregnancy is announced and they'll ask, "Oh, what class is the kid gonna be?" Like,
yeah, right.
But yeah, the fact
aren't they all
Jessica's...
monks at that age because they're just
punching
fists and legs?
No, I think it's incredible that like Jessica's interested in stuff that Dad does.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I suppose that that's one of the secrets, then, isn't it? If you're able to overlap family time with like personal hobby time, I guess that's a good shout. What the third? So your work intern at Proxy Table Gaming, PTG Gobbo. Like, I know that in the hobby he does. So Ryan does hobby chats, and I've been on a few of them, and we've spoken about things like Give a Goblin. There was this idea to hand out goblin models to people that don't paint or play, and just see if it sparks interest. But he was really kind of keen on doing that because his daughters were interested in it. So yeah, that's a good shout, actually.
I've tried to do it in most walks of life as well. I mean, Jessica's part of a football team, and I'm obviously quite keen on football. I've done it with, I guess, not really kids, but in terms of family as well. Talking about that, and with D&D specific, I a bit earlier talked about getting the football lads on. I've actually got my wife's family all in a big session, and that was sort of 8 of us again. Doing a session just because they were interested in it, and sort of, I think one of the biggest things for me is that sharing of interest with kids and other family, and them knowing about it, and being honest and stuff with what sort of commitments are there, and I think that it sort of sparks curiosity, and I think that can help with getting people involved in it, number one, but also you being able to do it, number two.
That's fair.
When I have conversations with my daughter Aoife, who's 5, so younger than Jessica, more often than not, I won't actually differentiate between I'm playing Night Age or I'm playing snooker or I'm playing football. I actually will just say I'm going to play with Tom. Yeah. Sometimes Tom isn't involved. More often than not, he is. But she just rolls her eyes when I say I'm going to play with Tom, because she's like, "Oh, you're going to do one of your geeky hobbies," and that's fine. But if I'd have just said, "Oh, I'm going now," there's less understanding there. So I think you've got to build up from an early age that you do things like they do things. Like she goes to parties, she goes to the playground, stuff like that. They're her things. Daddy has things as well. Daddy has toy soldiers. You have your dolls. It's fine to have that, and it actually encourages kind of like almost a life lesson as well for them, that they understand that toys aren't. Everyone has their interests, and it's okay to do things that you like. So yeah, there's that, and I think that it's just a really good way of joining them into the real world and bringing them into your ideas, and not forcing it on them, but saying, "This is what I'm going to do. Do you want to know more about it?" And one of the things with board gaming was I was playing Descent on the dining room table one evening after Aoife had gone to bed, and it got to stupid o'clock at night, and I thought to myself, I want to play this tomorrow night as well, but can I be bothered to clear it up? And I thought to myself, well, worst case scenario, she comes and she asks me about it in the morning when she sees it, and is that such a disaster? No, it's not. I'll just get her involved. And sure enough, the following evening, afternoon when she comes home from school, she sees it and she says, "What's this, Daddy?" And within a couple of hours, I'm making her an obstacle course out of the terrain piece, and we're playing a version of a board game that I've made up on the spot but she is loving it because she's playing
Yeah.
Daddy's Hobby. She doesn't know that she's not really playing Descent, but she loves it because I'm getting her involved. And who knows whether that'll turn into an interest in the future? Maybe it will, maybe it won't. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, for sure.
But just getting her engaged and enjoying time with your family, and that's part of it.
Yeah, I've got two friends. Like I do a Friday game mainly over Discord, but two of the friends are a married couple who have a 3-year-old son, and for the first sort of obviously few years, they really struggled to join the games and get involved in the games. But now as he's grown up, it's become a little easier for them. And these conversations about him learning about D&D and what why does his mum and dad like on these particular Friday nights just talk on the computer? Like that's good conversations are going to come up, and I know they've definitely had that conversation about themselves. How involved do they want him to be with D&D? Do they really want him to understand what D&D is and why they do this?
Yeah, totally.
And yeah, that I know that's been a big question for them. So I think you just sort of mentioned it there. At some point, the curiosity will come up, and I guess you just have to be honest with them and be like, well, this is why we do it. It's fun, and do you want to try?
And I think what Steph said there, in that they're gonna, like you said, they're gonna want to come over and want to play with it. If you can get them involved in any way, shape, or form, whether it's like it might be for D&D painting models or doing a dumbed down rule set, and you're like a lot of homebrew. There's gonna be so much homebrew,
and a lot of rule of cool, I imagine.
Yeah, totally. And it's just I guess it's from any part of the thing that they're interested in. If they do become interested, then great. Don't force it on them, but when they do, encourage it as much as possible, especially if it's something you can do together. Just spending that time with them, and I guess increasing their outlook, because D&D and models and all that stuff isn't going to be something they're going to be doing normally, especially when they're younger. So introduce them into it's all new and exciting, and if they want to, for us, it's just been showing them the stuff, and if they want to carry on, they ask for it, and when they do it, man.
And one of the things I think as well with that is there's nothing to stop you applying D&D to their toys or whatever you want to do. Like I can go and play with her dolls with her and have a role-playing session with her toys. And that's fantastic for her. Use the skills you've learned in your hobby to play with your children, and nothing stopping you doing that. And they love that. I mean, us D&D goers, one thing we're not short of is imagination, probably.
Yes.
Not definitely. Some people maybe struggle with that part of D&D, and that's fine. But a lot of the time, role playing is D&D, and you can apply that with your kids, and they will love that. So it goes both ways, and doesn't have to be them enjoying your hobby. You can help enhance their hobby with the skills you've learned from it. So there's multiple layers to it.
I suppose that thinking about it, one of my kind of proudest DM moments, so Julia's sister has 2 kids. At the time they were 8 and 6, so similar ages to like your kids, and they came to visit, and they discovered this book from the school library, which was a kids version of D&D, and it just had like pictures like of various classes, and the eldest, Sebastian, was really, really excited about it. And when they found out that Auntie Juge and Uncle Dan play D&D, I think we ended up running sort of like 2 separate games for them. Like when we went to visit, and another time when they visited us, and it was phenomenal, like the response from the 2 of them. But even Julia's sister was saying she's never seen the 2 of them sit down and be so kind of enthralled and focused for 2.5 hours or whatever it ended up being. Like she'd never seen it. It was unheard of. And I think there's probably there must be so many benefits for role-playing games for young kids.
But I guess they at that age their imagination is a lot stronger, and when you have something
totally.
something that really indulges that and really nurtures that imaginative streak in a child, it's gonna keep them enthralled, And I know with my nephew and things, he's just at the right age where he's his comprehension of things has improved dramatically. He's getting to that point where he's becoming a small person where he finally understands things when you're actually reading a book and he's remembering it. But you can watch as he's sort of reading out those words and things. You can see him sitting there thinking about that imagery, and I guess D&D does that.
Yeah.
Keeps it going, and I imagine that's something that you particularly enjoy when your daughter sits down to paint. And I can only assume it's a goblin army.
It's not actually. She's well, again, like I said, she is terribly sexist. So we went through on the internet of all these different female models, and unfortunately for me, she chose demonettes. So we've got these. Yes. But,
Scantily clad ladies.
yes. Not too bad, but also, yeah, it's scary where her mind goes.
Going back to what Tom was saying about being organised, I think that's a key thing, because one of the things that I sort of like thought back on when, like maybe after a year or two of being a parent, was what did I used to spend the hours of 3:30 to 7 o'clock doing? Because I don't have those hours in my day anymore. Those hours are purely for my kid, or whatever, going to and from the kids' clubs, etc. What did I used to spend those hours doing? Because I don't have them anymore, and that's fine. I'm fine with that, because spending time with my kid is wonderful, and that will always be the case, But in some ways, just enjoy the time you have with whatever you're doing. And don't, like Tom says, don't resent it, because that's the time you've got to really almost compartmentalize your life in a way, because you have got to spend time not doing your hobby just as much as you have to try and keep it going. You've got to understand you can't give too much to a hobby, because that's when you become lost, I guess. So I'm getting a bit deep there.
Yeah, I know, and it's hard not to really get deep, really. But I think while I sort of started out really by saying it's very important to keep doing at least some of the stuff that you enjoyed doing before parenthood, but also at the same time it's very important to have that family time set aside, and so that there is no. So while there is some crossover with interest and things, but you do. You're there for them, not for the hobby, sort of thing. So the priority becomes different. But also, when they're asleep, go hobby out, and go crazy. But
not every night.
If they
not
sleep,
every night,
right? As well, yeah.
Well, there's that, yeah.
But yeah, so I know. I mean, for me, the organisation that's probably the biggest change, and staff will. Second is the biggest change.
We plan weeks in advance, don't we? Yeah.
Well, genuinely in some cases months, just to keep things going, and to get aside, because childcare is a thing and things like that. So, it's been really interesting, but with a tight schedule, you can definitely fit it all in.
Well, your spreadsheet is a masterpiece of all those.
Oh, I've got into Excel so hard.
Yeah, the colours are just something on their own.
We all know you love a spreadsheet, Staff.
Oh yeah, it doesn't get any better than that.
So how part of you both as obviously good friends, and I assume your children play together. How much of you are wishing that one day they both end up having a Ninth Age tournament against one another?
It'll happen at some point. But there's a problem with that, though. I don't know if Tom can say it, but we have had many practice rolls of Jessica, Tom's eldest, rolling dice, and
it's in the blood.
She's unbeatable. Tom's nickname is Lucky Sixes. I swear, Jessica is Lucky Sevens, and she can't even get sevens on a dice. But believe me, that girl is the best dice roller you ever did know. So if she ever played D&D and 20, seriously, I didn't think Aoife stands a chance. And it's hard for me to say that about my own daughter, but Jessica is something else.
Yeah, I mean, it would be and I say this about football and all the things as well. Like, it would be great if they were really interested in that when they're a bit older. And I think when they're kids, they're going to try everything, right? And that's again, without getting too deep, that's your job to open up them to as many different things as possible, and
Sure.
hopefully they'll latch on to one of the things that I like. And I can get involved with them later down the line. But it would be great if we had me and Steph and then our kids doing a campaign. That's the absolute dream.
But
For
for every hope of that, you have to go through I don't know how many ballet lessons as well. So there is that too.
Well, when they introduce the ballet class in the next D&D.
Yeah,
smashing it, right?
Campaign idea right there, lads.
That's it. Yeah.
Imagine
A traveling ballet troupe of Goliaths.
I suppose in a way, yeah. When you think about it, like the prospect of kind of being a parent and playing games with the kids is one thing, but I guess with the family as a whole, like we look at the McElroy brothers, they play with their dad. Like that's an easy way of doing.
Well, let's face it now. Like, he's playing them like a fiddle. He's gotten so good. He's the one running those games.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I suppose, yeah, the idea of having these, because perhaps for me, some of these hobbies feel like they should be kind of isolationist. They're really, really not. But because it's only become more and more prevalent in the public sphere in more recent times. But yeah, actually, I suppose just kind of involving, your family, whether it be your kids or your partners or your parents or whatever. That's really interesting.
Yeah, but make sure you give time for what they want to do as well. That has to be said. You have to have days in the week or evenings, hours at the time, where you are literally doing nothing to do with your hobby. Because otherwise, even if your brain might be secretly thinking about the next campaign you're writing, you still got to sit next to them and watch Bake Off or whatever just to keep them happy, And I'll be in trouble for saying that.
Well, that bell, that means we're now calling last orders. Please remember to move your children from the play area, as it is a mimic who has been holding that post for a long time, and he does deserve a lunch break. Saf, Tom, thank you so much for coming and helping us out while Anton has been smashed into an asteroid.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for inviting us.
Thanks very much. We've really enjoyed it.
No worries.
Thank you.
Dan, where can the people find you?
Yes, so you can find me on Twitter at DMDanT. You can find me on Instagram at DMDMT. And you can find me on the Explorers of Elsewhere channel, where we play lots of RPGs. Most of the time it's Dungeons and Dragons, but sometimes it's not. And yeah, it's all good. Head over.
Saf, where can the people find you?
With me, it's all about let Lucky Sixes do it, and I'll just be there. But you can find me on the 9th Age Forum as Hyper G, and over to you, Lucky Sixes.
Yep. Well, as we said earlier, it's YouTube, number one, PTG Proxy Table Gaming. We're also on Twitter at Lucky Sixes. I think it's at Lucky Sixes PTG. That one. We are on Facebook, which is Proxy Table Gaming, and the Ninth Age forums as Lucky Sixes and Hyper G. But yeah, I mean, just the comments in the YouTube section. We are on Explorers Elsewhere. You find us on there, and you can click that link to get to our YouTube channel.
And you can find me at Group Stormbear. That's GROOP Stormbear. And you can follow us here at the Tavern at Tavern Between. The dimensions are moving out of alignment, so leave quickly. If you have left your chards in the Mimic, unfortunately, they are now gone. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, catch you later.
Toodaloo.
Bye.
See you later.
Thanks for watching. We release segments like this from the Tavern Between Dimensions every Friday here on the Explorers of Elsewhere channel. Otherwise, if you want to listen to the episode in full, you can check us out on Spotify and Amazon Music.